Good morning and welcome to SimWorld today's solo edition on the road edition, Marsh Pod Takeover edition, whatever we're doing. Good morning. It is July 17th. It is a Thursday morning. Shout out to JK. Appreciate him. It's nothing to do with him not on today. Your boys just got some crazy schedule going on, so we are going solo on this one. Well, we got some thoughts. We're going to talk a little bit of Kai Killens, my man, the guy that I stand for, that my property, my island, my stock, my everything. That sounded very loving. Sure, let's make it that. Didn't have a great day, but that's not where we're going to start. We're going to start is a little beef, I guess, supposed beef between Mississippi State and Richmond, of all teams. What are we doing? What are we doing? Jackson Sutton, Ty Merca. What is happening in this offseason? Now, we have a second thing happening with two schools that have nothing to do with one another. First it was Creighton and Syracuse. The only connection that those two teams have, because they don't play in the same conference, they're not traditional rivals, is that a couple dudes decided to transfer from one, a team that didn't do so hot last year, to go play for the other, who has completely rebuilt their roster. And that warranted some very harsh words between the two of them. And neither coach decided to step in, which I personally found, especially from the Creighton side, considering just the stature of that organization, it might not be one that sits there and plays as a top tier, top flight. But Greg McDermott is a coach that carries himself at a high level, and there was no rebuttal. Maybe there was some STFUs given in the locker room, because there should have been, but this weird rivalry thing between two schools that don't play each other, that have nothing to do with one another, and now we've got Jackson Sutton and Ty Merca launching the ultimate rivalry of two historic programs of Mississippi State and Richmond. What? This is idiotic. This is immature. This is ridiculous. That these two guys, what's happening? Like, this is the most I am 17 and I don't know what to do with my emotions type of vibe going on. And do either of these two think it's any good that anybody is going to look at this and say, yeah, this is the type of guy I want in my locker room? I'm reading the quote from JK as he released it. I wish we could have had him on to recap this. He pressed me first. Tough, dude, tough. But I won't be the one to just But I won't be the one to just all the disrespect he had to throw. I don't know what that means. I want this Mississippi State versus Richmond game bad now, and before they weren't even on my radar. Brother, they shouldn't be on your radar now. You don't even play in the same conference. Why do you think that Mississippi State and Richmond are even going to play one another? It's not like this is a rivalry built from being in the same backyard. Right? This isn't even a non-rivalry built from being in the same backyard. This isn't even like Florida State and Florida A&M. They're both in Tallahassee, but they're never clashing with one another. Want to know why? Because one's a legitimate program. One's a legitimate championship contending team. The other is Florida A&M. And the same thing is going on right now. Mississippi State, you are at the SEC level. Richmond just made it to the American. They were sitting around in, I think, the Sun Belt. No, that's not right. A10? Something not good. And they just get this promotion to the American, and they proceed to be the most mediocre team possible. And now we're beefing? No one wants this game. You want to know why? Because it would be a bad game. Two teams aren't good. Jackson State is a bigger threat. Memphis is a bigger threat. If that's where this rivalry is coming, and not Mississippi State and Richmond, then I could sit here and say, okay, Ty Merca, I see what you're doing. You're at Memphis, you're just playing alongside, you're playing right next to Darius Outlaw. You're at Jackson State. You're playing next to D. Wildy, very braggadocious guy. You're playing at Davidson. Like, this would be more relevant if it was Davidson, North Carolina. At least you guys are in the same damn state. We got state lines. We got Richmond to Virginia. Beef with Virginia or Virginia Tech, Ty Merca. Why are we beefing with Mississippi State, a team that's completely out of your league? If you want to talk smack to a dude in the SEC, how about you go play in the SEC and not be over there with the Richmond Spiders, little Chance Milton-Jones action, hoping for somebody to catch on. That's my problem one. You guys look ridiculous, as blatantly and point blank as I can say it. These guys look ridiculous, and they look ridiculous in the Creighton-Syracuse thing. I'm not even going to call it beef. It's synthetic beef. It's made-up beef, and you can't even make that in Florida. So don't come down here and try to make your synthetic beef, because it's not allowed. That's my problem one. You guys are just kind of being idiots. My problem two, coaches. Chris Jans, Chris Mooney, where are we at? Before that, Greg McDermott, Coach Drayton. Aside Drayton, where are we at? Why are we not telling our guys, hey, let's be quiet. Let's chill out. It's the offseason. We're all hot. We all want to play some hoops. Shut up. I mean, it's that simple. And what you haven't seen, if you notice, the 4 programs that we've seen involved, Syracuse, Creighton, just recap, we all know, Mississippi State, Richmond. You know what those teams aren't? Historic programs that hold themselves to exceptionally high standards. We're not seeing this out of Duke. We're not seeing this out of UCLA and North Carolina, Kentucky, even Alabama. We're not seeing this childish middle school back and forth. But yet here we are. And congratulations, Jackson, and congratulations, Ty Merca, because that's now the perception that you've given to other coaches in college basketball, and probably most importantly for your interests, the SWBA. Because I'm going to promise you, no SWBA scout, no SWBA executive looks at this and says, I want it. I want that dude that's beefing with a guy that's got nothing to do with him. That just because he pressed to me first. And I'm not saying this is unique. I'm not saying that that's not common in college basketball. It is common. What's uncommon is the fact that these guys have allowed it to get to be public. And they are talking smack in a way that's so ridiculously immature and foolish, with zero positive potentials coming out of this. This isn't impressing anybody. This is like when you're in 6th grade and you got a crush on a girl, and you're like, you know what I'm going to be? I'm going to be a jerk to everybody because I'll bet she likes it. Nobody likes this. This is stupid. Act your age, not your shoe size. Grow up, be mature. Not this. And coaches, can somebody please say something? I mean, have the locker rooms been lost? What's going on here? You're just allowing this to happen. No coach has come out and said this is bad. I consider that a bad thing. What other people are considering potentially bad? I heard some negative words about my man Kai Killens, and this is the Kai Killens defense attorney, not barred. No law degree over here. I'm not going to panic. I'm not going to panic on the bad day at Doc's Sinister Showdown. And I'm not going to panic because why should I panic? Why should anybody? This isn't nothing to do with me. This is about Kai Killens not putting up the best effort. There's not a proving ground right now for Kai Killens, right? Going to Alabama, pretty well set that's where he's going to be. He's been everything that I've been told, an incredibly active offseason participant in the Alabama strength program. He had a bad game. We're all going to have bad games, right? But his just happens to be in the one time that he gets to play, right, this offseason. There's going to be a lot of focus on it, and I'd say pump your brakes because I don't think there needs to be any focus on it. Kai Killens is proven. If you want to pull out the track record, right, let's look at the bigger picture. And his performance yesterday does not concern me. I'm sure it does not concern college coaches. I'm sure it doesn't, or the Alabama coaching staff. I'm sure it does not concern SWBA scouts. What might concern them is if those struggles and that perceived lack of a motor and lack of involvement doesn't translate into or does carry over into the Alabama season. But I would also say this: Kai Killens is established. He knows where he's going. There's also the point to look at is These are very odd environments, uncoached games where you don't have the structure of a normal season, right? Of a normal pecking order of a normal roster. This is, hey, these are the sets that we run and the types of spots that we want to get our guys into. And Kai Killens has shown to kind of prosper in those moments, and he didn't at Doc Sinister Showdown. That's okay, right? Look at, who was it? Peyton Pritchard went for 40 plus in the Drew League, or the Drew League, right? Am I losing my mind? I think I'm always losing my mind. Lou Williams goes for like 80 points, right? Dudes ball out in situations. It doesn't make them LeBron James level. I mean, LeBron James does ball out in those situations. Don't get me wrong. That's not a great defense on mine, but I'm just not going to panic over a pickup game with no structure for a guy that's pretty well established and knows where he's going. There's no urgency, and you can't fake urgency, right? You can't fake desperation. And there's no proving right now for Kai Killens. The proving that he will do will be at Alabama. The proving that he has to do is when he steps on the court for the first time with the Crimson Tide logo and the Crimson Tide name on the front of the jersey. That's the proving ground. Doc Sinister Showdown is not. Now, that's not to discredit any of that. There's going to be a lot of takeaways that we can get from these offseason tournaments. Can we see a guy really succeed that we didn't expect to? If Kai Killens continues to have a bad offseason, let's talk about it. Let's focus on it. But one game, one pickup scenario, I'm not going to get nervous about it. My stock is holding. We're not selling the stock. We're not selling the property. We're holding fast. Tough night. Those are going to happen. There's not much else going on. And this is just the quintessential offseason. Both of these things that we've talked about this morning, right? This perceived synthetic beef right now between Mississippi State and Richmond and the struggles of Kai Killens. Nothing else is happening. Nothing. No. I mean, Bradley Beal signed with the Clippers. That's what's happening. We want to talk about that? You want my take on it? That was duh. No duh he was going to the Clippers. And the Clippers turned out a great offseason, right? They went from moving off of Norman Powell, who they had to pay a lot of money for. They get back John Collins, a big forward that they can really use next to Kawhi Leonard. That's a great pickup. And then Bradley Beal, who for 2 years, $11 million, $5.5 million, got a player option for next season. He can opt out, get back on the market when teams are going to have cap space. He can prove to the league, hey, I'm a $15 million guy. I'm a mid-level exception guy. This is a great win. And I think a lot of the challenge with Bradley Beal, I wasn't planning on you talking about this, but the problem with Bradley Beal last season was the dollar amount, right? It was the no trade hanging over. I don't want to be traded because I like where I'm at in Phoenix. That was the story. It wasn't, I mean, was he all SWBA Bradley Beal? No, of course he wasn't. But he was actually a really good rotation player, 17 points per game. Yeah, he doesn't play defense, but it's not like Devin Booker and Kevin Durant are stoppers. It's not like they had a big man behind him that's an elite stopper either. So I thought that what we got out of Bradley Beal, I think the reality was very different than the perception, because the perception was the big dollar amount and the no trade clause. The reality was a pretty decent rotation guy that can start for a team that's trying to contend. He's probably going to start. Or at the worst case, be a sixth man. He's starting for the Clippers. I think that's a good pickup, and I think they've had a heck of an offseason getting better. The challenge is going to be for them twofold. Can Kawhi stay healthy? That's a big question mark. And can James Harden ever show up in a big playoff game? That's another big question mark. We'll find out. I don't know. We're back tomorrow morning here on SimWorld TV. Only place you can see the game, be the game.